Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And suddenly, it is cool to do webcomics. We're going to talk about this because we have been doing webcomics, or we had done webcomics back during its heyday, like 2008.
Even I would say before its heyday, it was starting to pick up, but it still wasn't really big, and we did it clear into when it became really popular.
Yeah, so back in the day, if you were a webcomics creator, even if you were a successful webcomics creator making money off your comic, which was success back then because most people didn't make money, but if you actually made some money and got invited to conventions and sold books and all that sort of thing, the mainstream comic book industry looked down their noses at you.
Yes, your amateur hour.
Your amateur hour. Even if you had professional credits, you should just be happy to be there with all these pros.
Well, no, because if you were that good and you were actually marketable, you'd be getting a deal at the gate kept places
Marvel
they were at,
DC,
right?
Making probably less money than
right. But you were, they were looked down their noses at webcomic people until money started to be involved and people started to get recognition, and then we had crowdfunders, the original crowdfunder and Kickstarter, like Order the Stick and stuff. They got these huge numbers at the time.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh shit. Then the mainstream's like, oh wait, there's money there. Sniff, sniff. Here we come.
Yeah, and this is happening because the mainstream comic book industry is in decline. I'm talking the direct market. I'm not talking about people doing manga. I'm not talking about, Scholastic or whatever. And the money over there is not that great either.
We know it for a fact.
Save for a handful of people. You got like 3 or 4 people that are making good money, and then everybody else, right? Just like sports. They're desperately looking for a way to stay relevant. They're desperately looking for a ship to jump to, a lifeboat to jump to. And it's so weird because they have spent years, not these people in particular, and I want to be clear about that, the Zestworld people, but the mainstream comic book industry has spent years before they attacked YouTubers, attacking webcomics people and attacking people who use crowdfunding. I remember Fantagraphics called crowdfunding e-begging, and then they had to turn around a year or two later and use it to stay in business.
Right.
So.
If you have been here since as long as we have, you would see how absolute bullshit this all is, and why you might be a little salty about it, because now they're all coming. Here they come. We were here before Webtoons. We were here before Tapas. It was Tapastic first. Actually, Tapas had us coming in and trying to get their message board going. We were here before Throwback, and when Throwback left, they were actually coming to us to try to find out how to make it marketable. Us specifically.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that too, because this has happened before, and it was the same thing. It was Throwback. It was Mark Waid's thing, and I don't know what happened. They basically imploded. It wasn't sustainable. Same kind of a thing. That was a bunch of print comic people trying to do webcomics. We had conversations with them. We told them what they were doing wrong. They didn't want to hear it.
No, I think the partner's words were, "How many Twitter followers do you have?" And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Wait, why do you care about Twitter? 1, 2, we started telling you what to do because we know what the hell we're doing, and you don't." Guess who was still around and who wasn't?
Yeah, so we'll talk about all this. And this is again, I think that all of this was instigated by Webtoons and all these press releases going out about how much money Webtoons is doing, and we've even got Marvel and DC getting on Webtoons.
Right, but they hired Korean artists.
Yes.
To do it because it's only going to fly a certain way by certain styles and certain platforms. So before we get into it any further, do that because we can get to actually talking.
Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 273,000 subs. Woo! Thank you for the support. Woohoo. Go to clownfishtv.com, where I'm actually reorganizing the site right now. We're going to be doing more blog content over there, so stuff that maybe we don't cover in videos because there's too much to talk about in any given day. Might wind up getting an article or something over there.
And it's us, and then we have other people that write as well.
We've got some other people writing. So
okay, so let's go back again. So back in the day, like you said, mainstream comic people looked down their nose at webcomics. Webcomics, though, I'll tell you what, straight up, it was a lot harder. Because these mainstream people, they'd have one job. Like, I'm a writer, I'm a penciler, I'm whatever. Webcomic people had to do everything themselves. Yep. And you also had to know how to do your marketing. You had to know how to build a website, maintain a website, get your website found. There was a hell of a lot more work involved in being a webcomic person than these people at Marvel and DC.
Even, I could argue, WEBTOON and Tapastic, because you're using their platform. They created like a YouTube type platform where you might not make money, but you can upload your content and not have to host it.
Right.
Back in the day, you had to have special themes and everything just to run webcomics.
And that's what we were paying. And back then, because they were so like processor intensive for the art, you're talking, we had months where we had to pay more for running the website than we did for our mortgage.
That is 100% true. If we get traffic spikes, yeah, with webcomics, because it was the images and back in the day, I mean, it's not the same now, but back in the day, we have spent more than we spent on our mortgage.
Right.
Yeah.
We even got audited by the IRS once because we had to come and explain to them why we spent that much money on this website.
Yeah, because they're like, we don't understand now. We did make ad revenue too, but we're like, no, the website leads to book sales and leads to merchandise sales, and I had to explain the whole business model to them.
And after they did, it was then it worked out. We were fine. We were good. But we actually got called into the main office to be audited over it because we spent that much money running ads and running paying for the hosting.
Yep.
Anyway, it was a big deal. So people have been around for years. Okay. So originally, when the Marvel stuff like Mark Waid was coming in with Throwback, people were like, "Oh my God, they're finally recognizing us." No. They smell money and they think that they're going to come in and take it from you.
Yep.
And that's what happened with Throwback. He started Throwback. He had I think slots for like a handful of people. Actually, we were one of the ones that were going to be getting one of the slots.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out that way because that's when his partner started asking us, well, how many Twitter followers you have? Doesn't matter, bitch. We get way more views than you do on your entire site with all your creators.
Yeah, I know, right? It was a crazy count. Well, no, actually what did it was we wanted money. And
you can tell us how to do it for the honor of telling us how to do it.
Yeah, you should be honored that we're talking to you, and that's what ended the conversation. Because I even sent our agent at the time after them to be like, "Could you find out what's going on?" And basically, it was like, "You want paid? Wait, you want paid? You want
you want to tell? You should just tell us how to do this and be successful and take nothing for it. We'll let you be on our site that gets less traffic than your own site does."
That's what happened.
So there's that. So then we had that, and then we had Tapas showed up, and then we had Webtoons. Now the problem with Tapas and Webtoons is both models let everybody put their stuff on the site, and what happens is it becomes a one-stop, all-you-can-read location. That's what kind of catapulted webcomics to being a major platform now. And the good news is that if you put your stuff there, you might get a lot of views. But the bad news is there's a lot of competition. But the cream rises to the top, as they say. And a lot of those really popular ones came to the top in the forefront, and they got deals and money became available.
Yeah.
So then they got the marketing person from, was it Marvel?
It was Marvel.
Had come in. And then with him, he brought in a bunch of
Marvel
people.
Yep.
We talked about this before. And it was hilarious because Neon was at a convention once and one of them was there and they were being all chatty with you until they realized we had more subscribers and views on our Webtoons than they did.
Yeah, that was kind of.
And then they wouldn't talk to you anymore.
They wouldn't talk to us anymore. But yeah, apparently they're paying out a lot. Now, here's the thing. They're not saying where the money's coming from. According to Webtoon, payouts to English language creators topped 27 million since 2020. Now, they do an ad revenue share.
Right.
And they also do like a Patreon thing.
Do they still do the Patreon thing?
I don't know.
We were in it, but I don't know if they still do it.
Yeah, but so it's not just them paying. They're not just paying people to make comics on the platform. Like, you do a profit sharing with them.
But you have to have you have to hit higher numbers to even be eligible, don't you?
Yeah.
I know with the Patreon we had to hit so many numbers a month to be able to even be eligible. So they were paying people, and like I said, DC and Marvel are going to Webtoons now, but they hired Korean artists to get them noticed. So fast forward now to the Zestworld. So which is the whole point of why we're doing this. We had to give you a backstory leading in.
There's backstory, yes. So Zestworld is, and again, nothing against these creators. I don't actually know any of these people personally.
But I just think it's all funny that they're all coming in now like, oh, we're going to cash in. Because what their point is what we did a video on before, which is you create the stuff and then you get jack shit for it.
Yeah, that's their point, because they're finding out now, and this is, pretty common knowledge, when you've got billion-dollar movies being made of Marvel and DC characters, there's no real incentive to create characters for Marvel and DC, which is why you see so many offshoots of the same characters. Like, oh, it's another Spider-Man, it's another Green Lantern, it's another Superman, whatever. But you're not going to see a whole bunch of new characters. So these guys and girls are taking their ball and they're doing their Zestworld comics, digital comics. Of course, the end goal, I can almost guarantee you, is let's do a proof of concept for Hollywood.
Right, I'm sure. And the thing is, to be honest, that since they're already established people, they'll get to go right to pitching phase because they're them. And I mean it is what it is. But mostly they said they're doing it is because they said I wish I could go back 20 years and slap myself for an hour because I did some stupid deals.
Yeah, which I agree. I agree with that to some extent. I mean, that's why Image Comics was founded too. It was the same kind of a thing. It was like, why am I making Marvel so much money every month and they're not paying me much, beyond my page rate?
Well, yeah, they said that I wish, a lot of times we were kicking ourselves and going, oh, I wish we didn't give that one away. We're a lot more careful now. Yeah. And the thing is, it's like, I think they're seeing these indie, like, young Rippaverse and all these other ones hitting all these high numbers.
Yeah, so people were wondering why we weren't covering it. I don't know what's going on with that exactly, but apparently PayPal was alerted and they were holding like over $1 million.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense unless someone flagged them and said it was fraud or something.
Or just to be devil's advocate here, other people were like, well, it might have triggered something at PayPal because it was such a large amount of money all at once. And they're like, whoa, we got to look at this a little bit closer because it's, I don't know, because this happened with Chad Tronick too. He was selling.
Oh, that's true. I remember that.
Yeah, he was selling his comics on Amazon. He didn't do crowdfunding or anything either. He went and published the books, sold them on Amazon. He sold so many in the first hour that Amazon locked his account.
That's right, I remember.
Because they're like, this is suspicious as hell. So, I mean, I don't know, but they are going to look at that. So what will happen is they will demonize somebody like Rippa because they don't like his politics or whatever. But then they'll turn around and try to take the same business model. And this is what we've seen with webcomics and Webtoon and digital comics and YouTube and all that. Like they're gonna demonize those people until they can figure out how to do it themselves. And then it's going to be, then it's going to be okay. As long as you go to the right platforms and you're one of the right people doing that business model, then it's okay. Then it's kosher.
Right.
If not, it's, bad.
So we have these people that work, like a lot of them are DC people and stuff. And now they're just doing their own thing now and trying to do webcomics because, it's just that easy, right? And they can create their own characters and get to keep all their rights. That's what this whole thing's about.
Yeah, which, I mean, I do...
It took them 20 years to figure that out.
It took them 20 years to figure it out. I mean, I do agree with it, but I'm also like the flip side of that. I mean, this is where it gets sticky. Unless you're working at Marvel or DC in a lot of cases, now this is starting to change, but until recently, unless you're working at like Marvel and DC, for the most part, nobody was going to know who the hell your characters were. Even Image Comics, those guys had a leg up because they worked on established Marvel
these guys,
and DC.
I would argue, have a leg up as well.
Yeah. But I just think it's so funny that it's now webcomics are cool. Now crowdfunding
now we're
is
gonna
cool.
do so we can retain our rights.
We're gonna do what these YouTubers have been talking about for years.
Do what we made fun of people for doing.
What we made fun of people
15 years ago.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not saying it's Jimmy Palmiotti in particular or anything like that. I don't know him, but I just think it's so we're as people who had to go through this shit, and people who still go through this shit doing YouTube and crowdfunding comics and having to deal with the mainstream comic book industry's bullshit. To see this be acceptable now,
it's insulting. It's kind of frustrating. And it's like, and again, it's like it's going to work. People who already have established, they've been paid for years. Now they want to do their own thing, and I'm like, yeah, do your own thing. And so I'm not faulting them for that because I'm like, of course, I would recommend that anyway. But I'm just like, now that it's acceptable, now that it's cool. On the backs of people that were ridiculed and did all the work and made webcomics what it was, and especially the people on like Webtoons, who many of them never got anywhere like with the money or big deals, but they all these together brought their viewers in to make it a huge platform. Yeah, and they get nothing, but they all get to be a stepstone.
There were a lot of people who Webtoon, when they first started and they first came to the U.S. I mean, they were already established in Korea, but they were trying desperately to get people to go on the platform.
Right, because Tapastic was already here.
Tapastic was already here, and they had some issues with branding, and apparently they were running like stolen comics or something before, so people didn't trust them. But they were doing contests to get people. So there were
yes, I remember, yeah.
So many people brought their comics to the platform hoping to win some money, and it wasn't a lot of money, it was a couple $1,000s, right? And they were trying desperately to win money. And for years until they found a way to monetize Webtoon, and that actually took, I think, putting ads on the platform and all that. there were so many people that put so many comics up there for so many years that didn't get a damn penny.
Right.
And now they're bragging about how much money
Right.
people
You basically
make.
became a step stool for people who already had established careers and already got to be paid for comic spheres.
Yep.
And the people that, were behind the gate, these other places, are now going to use the work of others to put themselves, well, now we're going to be doing this too, and then try to take all the money and attention again. And I have a problem with it. I mean, I'm glad they're doing their own thing. I don't know those people particularly. And it's not just them. We've dealt with this many times before, like with the Webtoons, with the Marvel people and stuff. And people were legitimately rude to Neon over it. They're all chatty with him until he found out that we had way more subs, way more views. And then he was kind of downright rude afterwards. It's really frustrating.
It is frustrating. So, I mean, good luck to them, I guess. I don't know how this is going.
Yeah, I don't want them bad things to happen to them or anything. I don't want to do bad. I'm just like venting that it's like really irritating.
Now it's cool. Now the media talks about
webcomics. I think there's money.
Yeah.
There's money in it and people are doing well. And you're hearing about while you're hearing about Young Rippa and you're trying to tear him down, y'all want to be him at the same time.
That's it. So
it's doubly insulting.
So I think he's at like over $3 million or something like that now. Mm-hmm. The media is going to piss on him because they don't like his politics and he's working outside the system. Meanwhile, I guarantee you if some other Marvel or DC person made
one of their darlings.
Yeah, made half as much money, it'd be like, this is the biggest pre-sale comic event ever. Oh my God. Oh, except for that other comic that guy did, but he wasn't part of the clique. So,
but he's not white.
I
love it. Like, all I keep thinking of when I hear this is like, well, Black Lives Matter, but as long as you're certain black people, you're the right kind.
You would think that people would be very happy, that the media would be very happy that a black man with a black character is making as much money doing comics in this market as we're entering a recession.
No. It reminds me of like when they tried to pit Captain Marvel and Alita against each other because you got to win. You claim you want women in representation and female leads in movies like this. You get two at the same time, and then you pit them against each other instead of being happy you won.
Yeah. So it's funny. We're gonna see. I guarantee you, we're gonna see people use the same business model. That they're going to do the pre-orders outside of Kickstarter, outside of Indiegogo, and then they're going to make a fraction of what he did, and they're going to be like, look at this huge success.
Probably.
I mean, they're already trying to like tear down, like people that do Indiegogo and Kickstarter, they're like, well, the books cost more than they would at retail. I'm like, yeah, so does everybody's books, because the whole purpose is you're paying to get the book printed in the first place,
right.
And what you get is actually considered a perk.
Actually, we didn't charge more than what they would have.
No, we actually charge
we
retail.
We don't. We only charge on our campaigns what retail would be.
Yeah. So that's us though. To each his own. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, I guess if you can get $50
go ahead.
out of a person
for do it, then
people
by all means.
If people are willing to pay you $50 or whatever for a 32-page comic and you can get it and they're happy. They're happy with it.
Go for it.
Go for it. I mean, geez. Anyway, most of our comics are over 100 pages each.
That's right. And retail only.
Retail only. Hurry. No, anyway, so we're going to wrap this one up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.